Sports Buffet is back. I don't think it was going to happen this week, man, because I was driving back from New York, came down for the holiday, spent Thanksgiving with the fam, and then supposedly this huge snowstorm that's sweeping the nation was supposed to be coming through. So we left Saturday night, beat the storm, and made it back, and we're here live and just ready to freaking go.
Ready to go. Ready to get after it.
Ready to get after it. I found a new hat. All right. Tonight was a little bit of a tough decision because I'm very upset with a lot of my sports teams and yours, which we can get into shortly. But I wanted to show a little respect to our Canada folks. So this is the closest I have to the Toronto Raptors. It's the Toronto Blue Jays, obviously.
Yeah.
Big fan of the gray hats. I think the first time I saw them wearing it might have been like throwback when like Roy Halladay was on the team. I think they might have like came out with like a new design that year when they were like beasting. They had the gray, then they had a black. They have the black version with like the bigger bird, and they changed their jerseys to say like Jays in the front. And I was like, that's sort of like, I think at first I was upset with the change a little bit, but then it grew on me a lot, and I'm a big fan of this gray hat.
No, they were a clean uni.
Mm-hmm.
And Roy Halladay was like, that was his prime, I remember, because I just remember him pitching no-hitters in that hat all the time.
He was a beast. But they do have, and this could be a whole nother episode for another day, a classic throwback jersey, like the old school Joe Carter one, you know, with like the blue, it says like Toronto on it. And then I think they have like the alternative that says Blue Jays on it.
Like the true blue jersey, right?
Oh, it's just clean. It's like it's just like a crisp blue. It's not just like any other blue. It's just like, I think that's got to be up there in like Jersey Hall of Fame, right?
That blue pops.
Super clean. I mean, like when you
That's a clean one. It's like for like in terms of jerseys for MLB, especially when we're talking about throwbacks, it's that one and the old school Astros that stand out to me. It's like
old school Astros, like how old school, like Jeff Bagwell or like Nolan Ryan with like the like orange and yellow on there?
Yeah, the orange and yellow. The orange and yellow.
That's a good one. I wouldn't. I'm surprised you went there on that one because I like that's fire, but that's not one that I go to first for like super like. I got a couple above that before I went straight to there.
Really? No, I like that one a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
What is it about that one? Because it's sort of just simple. Like, doesn't it just say Astros and it just has like the thick, like yellow, orange, and blue underneath it?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, man, but that star, like, it seems like anyone could draw that, like any fifth grader.
Yeah,
but it just looks clean. I don't know what it is.
All right, I'll give you that one. The ones that come to mind, just right off the top of the bat for baseball, I gotta go old school. Tampa Bay Devil Rays had some heat.
With the actual Devil Ray on it?
With the actual Devil Ray on it. It was just
wild.
It was, yeah. I mean, like, it also played a role that they were just so bad and the jerseys were sort of so fire that it's just, you know, like, you sort of wanted it to work out, but it just never was going to.
Right, yeah.
Like the Vancouver Grizzlies. The jerseys are just so fire.
Oh, that was so good.
Like, imagine a Vancouver Grizzlies in the NBA Finals, and that jersey just getting way much more love than it should have gotten.
I know.
It's like the Devil Rays jersey gets love because it was so fire, but if they were beasting in that jersey, it would just put, like, there would just be so much more credibility to the jersey.
Yo, it was a great colorway. That teal.
Yeah, that's why you can't discredit, obviously, Seattle's got to be in there, you know, whether or not their jerseys are hot, you know, just on color pop appeal, they've got to be up there.
Easy color to rock.
Super easy color to rock. And then I'm looking right now, I have a Glenn Robinson bobblehead. Old school Hornets was like the same color.
Oh, yeah.
And like everybody had an Alonzo Mourning or a Larry Johnson champion jersey.
Yeah, that's true.
A Muggsy Bogues one too.
Yeah. No, that's true. Like,
it was clean. They took it down to the pinstripes where like one of them was like a turquoise green, one of them was like a turquoise purple, and if you had that jersey, it was way more exclusive than just having They made also ones that were all the same colorway through the pinstriping.
Yeah, well then they did have the white with the pinstripes, which was pretty legit too.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like they made a champion jersey with, I think, the same pinstriping going throughout the jersey, but there's an actual champion jersey where like if you look at each individual pinstriping, how they were on the authentic jersey, like one was purple, one was teal, like they were all different.
Oh yeah, okay.
So
I know
they
what
like
you're talking about.
took it down all the way to like the actual individual piping
Yeah.
on. Did you ever used to collect cards and get like jersey cards?
Yeah, I didn't get. I don't know. I never got many jersey cards,
Mm-hmm.
but whenever I did, like I was getting thrown up in the hard case cover, you know.
Oh, so I worked it was a sports memorabilia ice cream store. We used to sell trading cards too. And back in the day, they used to have all the packs, and you could like feel all of them. And then there would be some that would just be like super thick.
You'd be like, oh yeah, I'm buying this one.
And I felt bad for every customer, like every little like 7 and 8 year old Jewish kid that would come into the store and want to buy so many packs of cards. And they'd be like, oh man, I hope this one's it. I hope this one's it. And I'm like, you ain't getting shit, motherfucker, because I just cleared the whole database.
This is the worst card shop ever. You're not getting anything but regular shit.
But I'm not the only one doing that. Every card shop, like they'd probably leave some like trash, like, if they knew that Topps made like a box that was trash, they'd leave the jersey cards in those. But they know if like Jeter comes in the flea or whatever, they're gonna take every single one of that thick package for themselves.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But now, like, you should see it, like, because I have actually like a legit card shop, like, right across from my apartment.
Which
So
I don't
I'll
know how
go
that
in
shit's
there.
still in business.
Yeah, dude. There's when you look up card shops too, like on Google and stuff. There's not many in the city at all. There's so it's very rare that this is right near me. But it's like an old school through and through card shop, and dude, people go in there. I'll go in there just for like nostalgia purposes, just to see some old stuff and like just like maybe I will just buy a random card like a Luke Walton card or something.
He's got a Luke Walton card.
Yo, they got everything there, man.
That's great.
But when you go in there, you will see kids that are like 15, 16, 17 still collecting, and they don't fuck around. Like they're like, give me the box, and they're like, they have a certain like algorithm or whatever. They're not just like little Johnny's not just taking any pack you throw at them. Like they say, and they have a rule that you can't feel through the cards.
Really?
But he was just looking at them like, all right, I'm gonna take that one then.
Well, he could tell by just by looking the width and the depth and the thickness and all that stuff.
Yeah, I guess like the bulk of it, man. Like he was just, and like even like, I think I bought a few packs couple months ago, and someone was in there giving me tips like, you're never gonna get anything out of a pack like that. There's a reason why they're $2.99.
You've been like, get the fuck out of here, you creep! With you and your trench coat
dude,
trying to like reel kids in.
Yeah, I'm like, man, I was just trying to buy something for cheap, but all right, now that you're steering me towards the $7.99 pack, you're like promising me that I'm gonna get like a wooden bat in my card.
You open up a pack of cards this big and you get like a freaking like brand new weather baseball glove.
Yeah, it just falls out into like 45. I was like, man, this
game used Derek Jeter cleat all inside of this little package. Thanks, man.
Oh man, it's just like inflatable or something. Like you just.
That's great.
But yeah, no, he had me. I was like, all right, well, I guess this is the move then.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sure there's a science to it, but like what they started doing a couple years into it was they'll just put like a thick piece of cardboard in the package, so you get gas. So like you feel it, and you're like, oh, that's it, that's the one. And then you open up, and it's just this big, thick, white piece of cardboard that they gas you with, which is like, looking back on it, there should have been some law that like they can't do that because that's just fucked up.
I mean, there should be a law that says like employees can't just take the best cards.
Nah, man, that's the perk.
They're trying to make it fair, man.
You know how the sneaker business works. You work at Foot Locker. They say they got 100 pairs. They're leaving that shit with. You're walking in there with maybe 60 or something like that because every employee's getting a pair. They're telling their friend who's hitting them up for a pair, and that shop doesn't actually have as many kicks as they say they're gonna have. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do think it's more difficult now, but I think back in the day, like even when we're talking 10, 15 years ago, like it was kind of like the wild, wild west where anything goes. Like they don't even have really lines anymore necessarily. Like they'll have a line if you won a bid online
Yeah,
in a
which is
raffle
crazy.
or something. So it's like it's a little different now, man. Like you can't just kind of like hide 3 pairs for you and your boys. They don't do that.
Yeah, I guess they got smart with people, because like you should have an advantage to maybe get yourself a pair if you work at the shop or something like that, because that's one of the perks of working at Foot Locker or whatnot. Or
They definitely, yeah.
You know,
from what I know, like the employees definitely get 1 pair.
okay.
Yeah.
But back in the day, maybe they were stashing like boxes in the back, and you'd be like, "You got a size 10," and they're like, "Nah, all out." But then if you really did your homework, there was a whole bunch more 10s in the back.
Oh hell yeah, man! They're not, and they're still probably trying to do that, but it is definitely a little more difficult now if they're selling those shits online.
Yeah,
it's like, nah, you just charged me $220 for that, and you said you got them, so hand them over. You know, like everything's accounted for now. I think that's the same with cards too. Like, they'll sneak that piece of cardboard in, and it'll be like a promo card. Like buy 99 more packs of these, collect these, and then you'll get 1 free pack.
Exactly. I feel like in the card sense, and maybe that's why there's not as many shops anymore. And if there is a shop, like a specialized shop by you, a lot of the time the cards are already like you're buying just an individual card that's already been opened in a pack, because a lot of these retail shops for packs, if they open up a cardboard one and get got, that's money that they're losing out on, because then they can't sell that pack because they're opening it up,
Yeah. I do wonder how it is like with the card shops, like if the owner are taking a few, because it's hard to tell, and they specifically are like, don't fill up our cards. It's like, don't fill up our cards, man. Me, I was just looking.
The Me Too movement for cards.
Yeah, but it is like, people go in there with a game plan. It's very interesting. Like,
definitely.
To see, like, teenagers are still kind of into it.
Yeah, cards are still cool because, I mean, like, as I was going to say before, like, you still get a little bit of rush, just the unknown of opening a pack and having 12 shots at, like, for me, if I'm buying a pack, I would be super excited to get, not Knicks cards now. I'm not buying cards now because I could give a shit about getting, like, a Trae Young basketball card or something like that. But when I was 14, 15, if I opened up, like, a pack of basketball cards, and I got like like an Anthony Mason or something like that, or like a Charles Oakley, like guys that like I really looked up to as a kid, I'll be super pumped. But then also, it's that unknown of opening up a pack and you don't get anybody you want, and it's like I get like Jeff Hornacek and like I don't know Scott Pollard on the Kings or some shit like that, and I'm like, who? Like these are all bozos, and then I have a friend who maybe is from California, and I traded my Scott Pollard for, he's got Mark Jackson, and now I could get my Knicks cards. That's where, like, the whole fun comes into it. But if you don't have any friends, you got to buy that next pack and have, and hope to get that player of the team you're looking for,
Yeah. I mean, you don't want doubles of, like, Bonzi Wells or something, Like
that'd be a bad double to have.
Like... But I do think it's a little different. Like, I don't think because I know back in the day, I used to trade them, with my friends. I don't think they do that anymore. I think they literally just throw them out if they don't get anyone good.
Terrible.
I used to just keep them all,
Yep.
Like,
I mean, that's the fun is looking back at like old school basketball cards and seeing some white dude with goggles that like you're like, this guy was on the Chicago Bulls. Like he looks like a math teacher. And then you look up his stats and be like, "Oh, that's Tim Pritchard, who was a math teacher."
Shortly after his 1.5 year long stint with the Trailblazers, as the 11th man. But so that store Round 2 that we've talked about that has a store in Chicago now.
Yeah,
Their vintage section in New York City has their tags are old school basketball cards. So it is pretty cool to see. Like
That's
you
pretty dope.
literally go in there and you'll see random ass names like, holy shit, man, I wonder if this dude's dead. Like I haven't heard from him in forever.
That's pretty
Just
cool.
like old cards of like no names.
Yeah.
They're not like it's not like Jordan.
No, and yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's
That's
that-
the fun.
It's that authentic cardboard like fleer cards. I'm
Yep.
like, oh man, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's fun following those stories too. Like there was a guy who played on the Knicks who lived in Westchester. He was like this white dude. I can't think of his name, to be honest with you. But he was like on the Knicks, which is like it's hard to be an NBA basketball player, and he was just like a regular white dude, tall guy, and now he's just working at like the local HSBC bank as like a teller. And my mom was like, "Oh, this guy was helping me at the bank, and like he sort of was tall, and so we got to talking, and like he used to play for the Knicks." I was like, "Oh shit, that's crazy," like, and he definitely had a basketball card that is in some pack that would just be awesome to open that up at a shop and like know that, I know that guy's working at a bank now or something.
Not awesome for him.
Not awesome for him, no shop. I mean, it'd be awesome to have a card of his. I found at the Goodwill by me. A Damon Stoudemire Raptors starting lineup figurine.
That's awesome.
And like Damon Stoudemire was kind of a big deal. Like you obviously know who he was, right?
Yeah.
There was like some people
Raptors.
I work with that I was like, yo, I found this Damon Stoudemire starting lineup figurine, and they were like, who's that?
What?
Yeah,
That's Mighty Mouse, man.
that's what I'm saying. And so like
That's
I saw that figurine and I was mad excited, and I was like, yo, he might be mad excited to see this. So I I Instagrammed it to him, and I saw the little scene in the corner, but he never responded to it.
he's like, man, fuck out of here, dude. You act like I'm some no.
But yo,
But he was. It is interesting because I do wonder how much a guy like that really made, and like he's probably one of those dudes that lives in Toronto because he's bigger over there. You know what I'm saying?
I think he's like a coach now or something like that. Like I think he's doing all right. He's not like some schlub other basketball player. Like maybe Bonzi Wells is like living in Portland right now. Just I don't even want to say what Bonzi Wells is probably doing now.
He's at a Starbucks.
He's at a Starbucks. But if you had a stint in the NBA or MLB for 2 years and they made some action figure of you, like me personally, I'd have that shit all over my desk. I'd have every single baseball card ever made of me because that stuff is super cool.
Yeah, and I think they do, but it's like it's tough because these guys a lot of times have to get over the fact that they even played and have to go do something else with their lives, like
Yeah.
maybe not so much now because you could get paid pretty quick now. But
Yeah.
like back in the day, think about it, man. Like you could have a good, like in the 90s, you could have a good like 5-6 year run and not have much money to your name.
No.
Like,
You'll have a nice
I would
throwback
definitely
jersey.
hang on to my fandom in a town and be like, you know how like the Knicks have representatives and stuff they always bring to events and stuff?
Yeah, John Wallace and John Starks, like every event.
Yeah, that's probably like probably like a $60K a year job or something. Probably more than that, honestly.
I don't know. I wouldn't. It's probably not that much.
Really?
Yeah, I really don't think that those pay a lot of money.
I just assumed they would be on salary, like thanks for your service, but
It's more of like we're doing you a favor because you can't really do anything else.
yeah.
So we'll just
that's
tout you
fair.
around to like a local gym because you had one nice dunk on a baseline, but you also lost the NBA Finals for us, John Starks.
Yo, and he doesn't miss an appearance.
Yeah, that dude is and look, he gets to go to golf outings. He gets to go to like, all these like chef events and all this stuff. So like, if he's getting paid more than $100,000 to do that stuff, then add that onto the list of things that the Knicks are just dumb as shit for doing because that should be a free job. No one should be getting paid to go to. He's just getting paid to go to bowling outings, golf outings, charity softball tournaments. Like, you need somebody, John Starks will be there.
That's true. It's probably like a per appearance fee or something.
Yeah.
Like something minimal, like a quick. I don't even know, but That is true. Like when you think about it, like the Knicks' 12th man is probably making 500. Why would they pay John Starks just to hang out?
Hell no. Yeah. And like, it's sort of a blessing and a curse to be some mediocre guy to play for the Lakers because it's like, yeah, you played for the Lakers. That's great. But you ain't getting asked to come to any events because the people that have played for the Lakers, like James Worthy's getting asked before you, Derek Fisher's getting asked before you, like there's just so many more people before, Rick Patterson.
Fox.
Yeah, no, like
Rick Fox.
Yeah, I mean Rick Fox will get asked, but like if there's some bum, but that played on the Lakers,
Yeah.
like what's his name? Who's the one that did all the dance? Oh, Madsen, Mark Madsen.
Yo, I was gonna mention him actually, but he has a legit job. He's like their D-League guy.
For the Lakers?
Yeah, like
good for him.
people are very high on him as a coach.
All right, so moving away from cards, we could get into a little bit of sports real quick. But the reason I wore the Toronto hat is because I wanted to ask you how the Raptors are still beasting right now. So tonight, they were beating the Jazz, I think, at one point, like 72 to like 31. It was something ridiculous. And like they lost Kawhi, and everybody thought they were going to collapse. But how are they still a good basketball team?
Dude, I don't know if their strength of schedule is like the highest right now, but it doesn't really matter because they're just winning games. That coach he seems to be the real deal.
Right, yeah.
And and I think Ibaka came back tonight too, so that's only going to help them. But they got you're right, they got like very minimal stardom on that team. You know what I mean?
And they're all old. Like Gasol's old, and even you say Ibaka comes back. Ibaka's old. Like, is he in his prime now? Did he, is he good?
Yo, he's like 14-9.
Yeah, but like enough that like.
I know.
I mean, like how much experience comes with winning an NBA Finals that it rubs off on the other guys that you could lose a top guy. Like it never happened with the Cavs. Like when LeBron dipped, it's not like Boobie Gibson and Varejao and all these other guys that were on the team are like making it back to the Eastern Conference Finals, or like LeBron leaves and they're winning 6 games.
I know. And granted, like it's the East too, so you could say it's a little bit easier of a path, but I think if they make it to the playoffs, that's really saying something.
Oh, they'll definitely make it to the playoffs.
But no one's really going to give them any credit at all unless they make it out of the first round again, which kind of sucks for that coach.
That is very true.
I think it's Nick Newell or something like
Nick
that.
Nurse, yeah.
Nurse, okay.
Nick Newell.
That kind of sucks, though.
Nick Nolte?
Nick Nolte. Lethal Weapon? Isn't he lethal?
No, Nick Nolte's Blue Chips.
Oh, yeah.
Classic.
But he's not going to get any credit.
That's a very good point.
Unless they win the first round, because they're just going to fly under the radar all the way up until they lose the first round and be like, all right, cool season, man.
Yeah. They're definitely not winning the NBA championship because I think it's almost a lock that that's coming out of the West. But you make a really good point. It's like that guy, nobody expected them to even win any of these games, to like beat a Utah and like even make the playoffs. Maybe they would have an 8 seed or something. But I think they're actually really good. But to your point, once they lose in the second round, or even if they lose in the Eastern Conference Finals, it's like, damn, what a bust. Like Kawhi leaves and they can't win. And it's like, no, they lost Kawhi and they still made it to the second round of the playoffs or Eastern Conference Finals. Like, that dude's a wizard,
Yeah, it sucks that they could just fade away like that in terms of, what the media and the fans think. But now, do you think, like with teams like the Raptors succeeding and not really any super teams per se, right? Or even less super teams, do you think it is like a rebirth of these teams that are just well-oiled, they work well together, they know how to run an offense and a defense? Do you think that's like coming back a little bit or no?
I think 100% it is. And like the team I'm looking at is the Dallas Mavericks. Like they've been building that shit up for so long and been staying with Rick Carlisle for so long that you got to have a really good coach. You got to have a really good system that you honestly believe in. and not some shit that you just try and do every single year. Like, so all this stuff is nice. Maybe the Hawks can go on like a 4-game winning streak or something. But unless their coach is like committed to some system, committed to like defense and offense, and like that's like you sign a Vince Carter and like you have a veteran guy, but that's not going to help your longevity of a team. You know, like there's other players out there besides a Vince Carter that, you know, will help develop your team, that's still a seasoned guy that fits into what your team is about. Vince Carter at this point, like I think Carmelo's a little different because he can actually, you know, mold into like a team guy. I think he's starting to do that with the Blazers. You know, pick and pop and like pick and roll and all these screens and type of shit. When you're signing Vince Carter, like to me that's just like laughable. It's just like you're just doing it because it's Vince Carter, and that whole mentoring players, like that's not a consistent thing to build a team, you know? Like,
No.
like
That's the second week you bash Vince Carter.
because it's just like, I think there's like Jamal Crawford should be signed before him. It's just like the Mavericks had it with Nowinski, who like was playing the end of his career, so he was still, you know, a legacy dude. But like Carlisle never shied away from anything that like he believed in. Nick Nurse, you could clearly see, has a system that is just like either you buy into this shit, you're our type of player, you're not our type of player. The Knicks obviously for decades have no type of structure. You know, the coach, the first game of the season doesn't know what lineup he wants to play, you know, and it's just like a joke there, which is just a different end of the spectrum from like the Warriors, who they lose all their guys and they still win and compete because they could plug in players. So yeah, I think that like the league is starting to go back to more of like a team game, team concept, no star players type of thing. And a lot of these guys who are nice, maybe in college, and like obviously Zion's nice, but you're going to see that like teams are going to start picking more like team guys than they are these individual crazy talents that we had in the past, like an Allen Iverson or, you know, Tracy McGrady. Obviously you can't shy away from those guys in the draft, but it's going to be a harder selection choice because they're going to be picking more guys that fit within the team.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the Mavericks on that, because that's like the epitome of like what they have done is from the top down.
Yep.
Like, and I think with what you're talking about, with, you know, allowing a coach to run their system regardless of the players they have or not, that starts with the ownership. And Cuban never wavered on Carlisle.
Yep.
He never wavered on anything that was happening with the moves that were being made or not being made. They would always just kind of sign one decent guy a year. You know what I mean? Like Harry Barnes, like a couple of years ago.
Yep.
Just someone to kind of like, all right, you know, he's going to give us 15, 16 a game. We're not going to really, you know, we might not be a top team in the conference, but we aren't going to get blown out every time.
But he fits into what we're trying to do type of thing, you know?
Exactly. Fits into the system. Not going to cause any issues, and we're just going to wait it out because we got our championship years ago, but we're just going to wait it out and try to get up draft picks, try to see what the free agency market is the next year, because there's been some bad free agency years.
Yep.
Right? So I think with what Cuban has done, more owners should look at that, where like he didn't panic at all, and like he's a guy that you think maybe would be like, what is going on? I got to blow this whole thing up. He never really did.
Nope.
Like even trading, I mean, with what he did to get Porzingis, the Knicks panicked in that. You could tell the Knicks panicked in that. It's like Dennis Smith, decent enough, but come on, man. Like you traded. Look who you traded.
Yeah, and they like they always replace, like, so they had Harrison Barnes, but now you can find a guy on their roster who's similar to like a Harrison Barnes, if not better, same type of guy for less money. So they found Tim Hardaway Jr., who'll come in. The same type of player, you know, knock down shots. But, and you probably don't want to hear this being a Lakers fan, but a team like that is gonna, and they did tonight, I think, expose the shit out of teams like the Lakers. I think the Clippers are different because I think Doc Rivers actually has them running a system. And yeah, Frank Vogel probably has them running plays and they run offense and they play hard defense. But if there's no consistent structure and you're still just relying on LeBron and AD for everything, you're going to run into a team like the Mavericks that, like, actually, for a series will find out your tendencies, find out stuff that, like, they can expose you on, and they will expose you on that shit. It's what the Celtics are. That's their bread and butter. It's just, like, running a consistent offense. And you saw that tonight with the Mavericks and Lakers. Like, the Mavs just straight sort of, like, obliterated them. And the Lakers are playing their full slew of guys. But, so it's nice. You could win games if you're the Houston Rockets and have James Harden go off for 60 in the regular season. But what happens every single playoffs? They get exposed by teams that just run a system and, like, play as a team and don't just rely on one guy, because when the crunch time comes for the Rockets, for the Lakers, everybody's going to be looking straight at LeBron, straight at AD. And if, they miss a shot or don't make the right play, the Mavericks will have someone ready, something they prepared all season because they're all on board for it, as opposed to passing the ball to, what's the dude who's balding on the Lakers?
Who is balding?
Caruso.
Oh, yeah.
Like passing it to Caruso in the Western Conference Final and him, completely airballing a shot because the whole season he hasn't been that type of guy.
Yeah, and I do think, you have a point to a certain degree there. With the Lakers, I think specifically, like, their strength of schedule has been low this year. So, hey, like, you beat the teams that you're supposed to beat.
Of course,
You only play the schedule. So they haven't played much competition this year. So, like, for this loss, I'm not going to say anything. Like, I'm not going to, I'm going to hold back a little bit. But then, it'll be interesting to see how it goes the rest of the season when they do start to get into the teeth of their schedule and it gets a little more difficult.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do think that for this year alone, it may change next year because, like, with the Nets, with Durant coming back and everything, but I do think for this year alone, we are looking at a different kind of NBA where a team-type atmosphere might be embraced a little bit more, and that might lead to more wins for teams.
I agree. And look, I'm telling you, Kyrie's not going to work out well in Brooklyn, man. I can guarantee you that because he's just not a team guy. You look at them right now. They beat the Celtics. They almost beat the Heat tonight. Like, they won like 3 in a row prior to tonight because they didn't have Kyrie. And Durant's a guy you can plug into that roster with Dinwiddie and, like, Jared Allen or all these other guys, and they're just beast. But Dinwiddie's got to move over when Kyrie comes back, and it's just like the fit. I wouldn't be surprised. And they're obviously going to give it a chance because it's like you got to see them at full health, Kyrie and KD and all these guys. But, like, don't be surprised if in the offseason they ship away Kyrie for, some draft picks and all this stuff. And granted, it's a long shot because that would really probably upset Durant.
Right.
But that, like, you can't. He should be looking at the team right now and just being like, "Fuck, man, they're winning without me. Like, I'm the problem."
Yo, Spencer Dinwiddie's numbers
beast
are bananas without him, and he gets them wins.
Beast. He's a beast.
It's like, yo, his numbers are insane. His numbers are Kyrie level numbers, maybe even better, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, granted, it's a short span and it's not going to happen the whole season. Plus, he would be like an MVP candidate.
Yeah.
But the numbers he's been putting up is pretty impressive for him. It's interesting because I do think that the NBA, and maybe this will change, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think the NBA tends to have an issue where they let these young guys go wild right away, like the Hardens. And even he was a sixth man, so all he did was come in off the bench and it's like, hey, man, now's your time. Like, when he was with OKC, like, yo, just shoot. And guys like him and Kyrie in their first couple years of their careers, sometimes they're allowed to go a little wild and then they can't reel it back. And then you see when they're trying to become the leader of their team, it's like, oh, man, this doesn't really work.
Yep, and it just gets weird. And I mean, we've spoken about this before, and I won't harp on it too much, but I think Kyrie's going to be an issue in Brooklyn. And I'll leave that at that. I do want to add that we could speak on this more, but I think Luka is a straight beast, dude. Like, I try to shit on him a little bit, just because, like, I don't know, for whatever reasons, but like, that dude's a savage, man. Like, step back threes from deep, can drive to the rack, dunk it, passing, everything. He's seasoned because he's played international ball. And he's in a good spot with the Mavs. He seems humble. He seems like, he's not getting caught up with any too much attention stuff. He's not really doing any big average. He reminds me of like a Greek freak where he's just in a smaller city, really good player, and isn't conforming to what, like the NBA sometimes players conform to,
Yeah, so far so good with him. Like, honestly, unreal the way they could have 2 7-footers with him and Porzingis playing the pick and pop.
Yeah.
It's tough to defend if those guys are going to stay healthy, How
tall is, you say, is Luka's not 7 foot, is he?
No, what is he, like 6'10", though?
Is he
like,
that big?
I could be way wrong on that. Dude, he doesn't look much smaller than Porzingis, like the times I've seen him, which has been 2 against the Knicks.
Yeah. Oh, maybe. I mean, you could be right. I don't know. I think he is a bigger guard, but I didn't realize how big of a guard he was.
6'7".
Okay. I mean, that's still tall for a guard.
Yeah. That's yeah. And you know what? That's like perfect small forward height.
Yeah.
I thought for some reason, I mean, I know sometimes I think they do play him at the 4 position, but the Mavs look good right now. The only issue I would say that could cause them problems later down the road is the rebounding.
Yeah, they don't have any real abuse. I mean, they've got Boban, but he he's not more than just being really tall. Like.
Yeah, and you got
I think you can mask that stuff a little bit, but I mean, yeah, you're right that you do need some bangers in the postseason. Like the Clippers have like Montrezl Harrell that like could just straight beast some guys. Dwight's looking good. But yeah, dogs. I'm a fan of Luka. But I wanted to ask you about Harden's 60 points real quick because he does that type of stuff periodically. But I looked at the stat line and like 23 free throws, and it's just typical Harden. Where, I mean, I want to see them go 4 quarters. Like I don't care the score. Let them go. Like let someone get 100 one time and just go crazy with it.
I'm sure they want to do that too. You know what I'm saying? Like, what guy wouldn't want to be able to just like, let me get like 15 more shots off.
Yeah.
But to what we just said though, last discussion, was the development of the team. What are you gonna just have this guy freeze all of his guys out for another 20 minutes and
if you're smacking the Hawks and you got a 60 spot in the third, I would get enjoyment as a teammate being like, yo, you got the green light, dude. Like, we're just passing you the rock every time. Go get 40 this quarter or something like that,
That's fair. Now, I saw the highlights. My only thing was, did Westbrook play?
I don't know.
I didn't see him at all.
He's fallen off, man. And, like, I never thought he had a jump shot. He was just always super athletic and just great at getting to the rim and super fast. But, like, he's getting older too. He's had a couple surgeries. I'm not really sold on Westbrook too much, man. I don't think he is. I think Chris Paul was a better fit for Houston than Westbrook. So I think Houston's gonna have problems also.
Yeah, they don't have much depth either, but I just thought that was interesting. Like, I wonder if he didn't play and then Harden just takes the ball.
Off. Yeah, no, I know. I don't know.
25 extra shots I could take right there.
Yeah, no, it doesn't surprise me if that was the case. Quickly wanted to ask you, and I will never get my hopes up for another Jets game because are you kidding me, man? I didn't watch the game, but I looked at the score on ESPN, and of course we lost to the winless Bengals. The Jets are winning 3 in a row. They go into Cincinnati on a game that should just clearly just smoke this team out of the water. Get back, like, put yourself as a contender, and they lose. And here, before you say anything, I've done this with the Knicks. I've written them off for every single game. So every time Kyle texts me, every time Bronx will text me, I'm like, do not get excited that the first quarter they're up 30-6 or something like that, because the end of the game, it's gonna be we'll be up by 6 to start the quarter. 8 minutes into the quarter, it'll be a tie game. 4 minutes left in the game, we'll maybe be up 2 or down 2, and then in 1 minute left, 30 seconds left, we'll be down 9. So like it is like clockwork with the Knicks that we will lose every single game, regardless of what happens throughout the game. I have to flip my mindset to that with the Jets and stop hanging on to they're going to win the games they're supposed to win, because they do not. And this one hurts a little bit.
Yo, I said your name in vain a few times watching that. I was like, fucking Corin. Literally said this last week. Fucking Corin. I told him not to get hyped about this.
I know.
I was like, fucking Corin. Like, what did I tell you? Like, I wasn't too surprised by it. The lack of offense was crazy.
Did you watch
insane.
it?
Yeah.
All 4 quarters?
It was hard to watch.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was like, I caught myself like doing pretty much every other thing but watching the game a lot of times, because a lot of it was like 3 and outs, and it never got any yardage on first downs. And it's like, where was offense we just saw 3 weeks? For the last 3 weeks, where did that go? And seeing them this week, it was like they took every step that they had taken forward, and they just went back 5 times that amount.
Crazy.
It was like numbing. It was like, all right, this is what we are, man.
It's just so frustrating, because it's like you wanted to feel good for Gase. You wanted to like really like start to think that we were on to something, you know, like the Instagram's looking great, and the players are like putting pictures up of just positive shit, and like there's articles out there that like, are contenders, and I'm going into work like, yo, we beat the Bengals, like maybe we lose to the Ravens, I'm like, all right, we'll take that L, but look at everybody else that we'll beat, because we'll be riding this hot streak. And now it's just like we lose all credibility. Like Gase is back in the doghouse. Our arguments go to shit. We can't say that Darnold's good anymore because he just fucking took a big dump on his face. Le'Veon, I mean, I'm a fan of his, but any argument you try to make for any of these guys now and try to defend the team just goes out. It goes out the window now, because you lost to the 0-11 Bengals. It's just so embarrassing, and it's just typical Jets. It's such a Jetsy freaking loss that like the Jets, they could switch it up, right? Like Roger Goodell can come out tomorrow and be like, the Jets are going to be playing a 7th grade middle school girls team on Sunday, and they'd be like, the spread is Jets, money line is Jets plus 200. I still wouldn't touch that line with any amount of money in my bank account, because that 7th grade middle school women's team would probably put up a fight against them.
It's like whatever team they play just gains these superpowers. Like the Cincinnati Bengals defense looked amazing today.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, where'd that come from?
We had so many penalties that were just stupid. We had one penalty that gave us a safety. It was in the end zone. We were in our own end zone, and it was like a holding call. Gave us a safety. That was like the key moment when it was like, oh, this shit's over. Like, because the Bengals weren't really like scoring either. They didn't help themselves out either.
I'm sure.
They were dropping balls and shit.
It's not like
I'm like, this is awful. Like, we can't beat them. Like, they're literally like, they should be up by 10 more points than what they are right now.
Yep.
And they're not doing anything to help their cause. And then we get a safety in the fucking end zone.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, if I'm an owner of an XFL team and I want to make a splash for my league, and I would call up Woody Johnson and I would say, hey, man, you like money? He's like, our league, I'm Vince McMahon. I call up Woody Johnson. I say, I'll give you $20 million if you just have the Jets play one regular season game against any of our XFL teams opening night. And, like, he might take it because it's a lot of money. The Jets might lose that game. Like, a game that you should clearly beat a superior or inferior like football pedigreed team, the Jets will just lose to. It's so crazy. It's so embarrassing. It's frustrating. And I'm very happy because I went to TJ Maxx in New York, and it was between I had like just a shirt on, so I was with my mom, so she usually buys me something from TJ Maxx, and it was between this just black Adidas hoodie, and it was this sort of hot Jets, like a little bit lighter black like hoodie thing, but it was like $12 more, so I gave my mom the benefit of the doubt, but I was really gonna get the Jets one. It was on Saturday, so I was like, let me get this, man, because maybe if I get this, I'll rock it Sunday, and then I could just wear it for the rest of the season because the Jets are going to make the playoffs. I got the Adidas hoodie one, and I'm thankful because now I could probably go back and have my mom go back to that TJ Maxx and get that Jets thing for probably like 25% cheaper.
That's the sick part in you, is that you still want that shit.
I still want it. It was sort of hot.
That's the sick part in you, man, is that you still got a little bit of hope. You just got to let that shit die with you, man.
Man, it's just, but I want to be proud of these New York teams, man. Like, I want to be so proud. I want to wear a Knicks hat on this freaking podcast every single week. Yeah, you're rocking this shirt, but it's like, I don't even want to. I'm a troll now on Twitter. I troll the Knicks on Twitter because I am that frustrated with them.
I saw you, dude.
Every time they put something up, and it's like, Mitchell Robinson shooting threes. They tweeted Mitchell Robinson shooting threes tonight. I went on. I didn't write anyone on this one, but every single comment underneath it was like, he doesn't even have a low post game. Like, yeah. Boom, like. It was like, the guy can't do anything else. Boom, like. Any other comment that was negative, got a like. Because I am so mad at these teams, and the Jets are going to get to that point. I used to like their photos. I would double tap a lot of stuff on Instagram for them if Le'Veon did a takeover. But it's troll season now, I think, man.
It is. It is.
It's troll season.
No one's above that.
No one's above that, but it's just
everyone can get it.
Everyone can get it, but if I'm running the Instagram account, I'm going into my boss's office on Monday, and I'm saying, we got to stop putting these positive quote shit up and keep it 100 with our fan base. And just be like, we suck. Like, we got to be like, the caption for tomorrow for the Jets thing has to be like, we're trash. Like, we lost to Cincinnati. And it just be like, we lost to Cincinnati. On to next week.
I was going to ask you that because you probably know about this more. A little bit of a side topic. But, like, the Jets will post, like, find some highlight out of today's game. I don't know how, but they will.
Like a block.
Yeah, and they'll post it, right? And then a lot of teams, after a loss, will, like, post the score and, like,
just say final.
And, like, a little highlight of their team. I'm like, why are they doing that? Do they have to, like, do something, like, buy the NFL rights or something? Like, why? Like, just stay silent, man. Go silent.
Go, what's LeBron's thing? Zero dark 30 or whatnot?
Yeah. Like, that drives me crazy.
Yeah. Unless it, like, I wouldn't. Yeah, you're right. I'd like don't like. I don't want to see any highlight from this game. Like, just like the Knicks, their Twitter feed should just be from every victory. I don't want to see a spin move from Ntilikina when we're down by 50 points. Like, if I can look on the bottom of your Instagram post and the MSG score is in the corner, and he's making a pass or three while the score says like 79-43. Don't put that highlight up, or figure out a way to put that shit up without the score in the corner. All right? So I could check it without knowing the score in Chicago and be like, oh, shit, are the Knicks winning? And then let me go to ESPN. Let me go to the app and find out that we're getting smacked. But I shouldn't see a losing score on your Instagram page. I won't put a bad photo of myself on Instagram. Why are you putting a bad score on your Instagram account?
I completely agree. It's infuriating. I don't get it.
It's frustrating, man. So that's what it is. And it sucks that it's come to this point because I'm a diehard Knicks fan. My daughter's name is Knicks. But it's troll season until you prove me otherwise, man. Yeah. And the Jets, you lose to Cincinnati, you're getting trolled.
That's how that goes, though. That's how it goes.
That's how it is. Do you troll the Mets at any points? Does it ever get to that point?
I try not to. Because it's like, you know how hard it is. Like, everyone knows how hard,
It's
unless you're really just uneducated. But
people
then
get
again,
paid a lot of money, man.
it comes to a certain point where it's like, mainly I just get mad at the team accounts more than the players. I'm like, dude, they want to do good, whatever. Like, they're not as talented as they should be, whatever. Like, I could always reason myself out of it. But when the team posts some dumb shit, I know it's just some fucking dorky intern that I just want to grab by the neck.
But here's my thing. It's like, you can't unfollow them because they're the professional sports team, you know?
Yeah.
I would hope that if I was putting up garbage Instagram photos, like you or Bronx, everyone would just be like, yo, your Instagram's garbage, dude. Like, that shit is trash. And, like, you write on my picture, like...
That's true,
like,
yeah.
Like, yo, shit is mad blurry. Why would you post this? Then I'll be like, yo, you're right. My bad. And then, like, I'd get better at it. But none of these accounts get better. They don't learn from posting this garbage, man.
No, they're posting pocket pictures.
Like...
Yeah.
Here's the play of the game. Our left guard made a great block against, Geno Atkins or whatever the hell his name is on the Bengals.
It's true. It's
very
an
frustrating.
epidemic, though, with all sports teams, not just ours.
Yeah. No, but I mean, a lot of other teams are like Portland, even when they're doing poorly, they still find a way to make it funny. Like, they'll put like a funny caption for how they lost or something, or like put a meme up or do something funny. It's just like, don't lie to my face, Knicks, and try to put some positive spin on it. Like, we'll learn from this. What? Like,
yo, that's true. Like, the Knicks, that whole organization just has too big of an ego to just, laugh about it, joke about it, whatever. Yeah. Like, just, try to make light out of something.
You're 3-12, and you've lost for like the last 27 seasons in a row, but your Twitter caption is going to be like, we'll learn and get better from this? Like, really?
Hurry up.
like, you'll learn and get better from this. Oh, I think I saw that tweet 16 years ago. All right, I'm done with them. A couple more things. I'm sort of like invested in this story, but I don't know if you are. But Greg Schiano is going back to Rutgers.
Is he really? So when does that? All right. So when they hired a guy like that, does that start immediately, or is that next year?
I would think immediately, because I mean, like, for college, you got to get right on recruiting and like, hit the ground running of like, getting guys that are going to be on your team for next season.
Right, that's fair. Like, he's definitely like working for them now.
Yeah.
And that's good. Like, some guys are just college coaches.
Yeah, I'm just a fan of his.
In there.
I'm a fan of his because he had a lot of New Rochelle guys. Shout out to New Rochelle, my high school. They won the Class A state championship football game. But Schiano was almost like the Joe Paterno of Rutgers. He just like, that place was booming when he was there, and then he left, I think, to go to. He became, I don't know if he went straight to Ohio State. He became the coach of maybe somewhere down in Florida. I don't know if that's right. But he became like a coach somewhere else and then went to Ohio State. But now he's coming back to Rutgers. And I think it's cool because, I don't know, I just remember watching Rutgers games when I was younger. So I hope they do well. And then, the Ohio State-Michigan game, they untied the quarterback's shoes. Did you see that?
I did see that.
Are you a fan of the untying shoes move?
I mean, for that guy specifically, I guess, because he was just killing them.
Oh, was he going off?
Yeah, he was going off. So it's like, all right, what can I do?
Yeah.
I guess that was kind of like it's like a real life meme, It's
yeah.
Like, all right, what can I do? So usually it's like, all right, dude, I don't need to see any more NBA players do that.
Yeah.
It's old, so.
Ron Artest used to be great. I think he like tried to pull down Paul Pierce's like shorts one time, like running with him on the baseline.
Yeah, just probably tried to punch someone too.
Yeah, probably tried to punch someone too. If you're clever, like the first person to untie the shoes, I forgot who did it. It might have even been like a Knicks game or something. I think it was someone on the Knicks, or I think it might have been Meta World. No, someone on the Knicks untied someone's shoes like at the free throw line. Was it? Who was like a knucklehead that we had? I want to say like Rasheed Wallace.
Probably. That sounds about right, honestly.
Was it Rasheed? No, it's like. I'm drawing a blank, but I'll think of it when we get off air. someone worse. But like, if you're innovative and you're the first person to do like the tactical move, like Lance Stevenson bowling in LeBron's ear, never been seen before. That was just iconic.
That's iconic.
You know, there's some good.
They should build a statue for that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the first person to untie the shoes, okay, I'll give it to you because I hadn't seen that before. Did you see the kid at the free throw line who did like the whole routine where he like bounced the ball through his legs and then like crossed over and then shot his free throw?
Yeah, I was like, okay, dude. Like, sure, man, whatever works. It's a little weird, but like, you should probably practice free throws the normal way too.
It's crazy because I mean, like, yeah, he's playing in like this big arena and he's doing like a crossover move at the free throw line because that's what he thinks helps him make his shot. But all the power to him. We'll finish up with this. I think we had a question. One whole question. So we haven't answered questions in about 3 or 4 weeks, and we got one, baby.
And we're going to answer it. So it's actually a really good one.
Yeah.
And it's from Eldon Yeakel, and he's asking about the newly proposed NFL changes and the NBA changes.
Okay.
So, and what we think of them. So the NFL proposal is, it was originally in the summer, it was supposed to be 18 games. They pulled that back recently and said they want 17 games. So I think with the 17 regular season games, they would have, I don't know about the bye week, so I think they would have one more, but I think they would have only 2 preseason games.
Okay.
So I don't know about you, like, I know players, it's kind of tough to ask an NFL player to, hey man, play one more game here. Like, so I do think like it'll be a little weird in terms of that.
Yeah.
But on the other end, you are playing less preseason and you're making one more game meaningful. I can kind of see that.
Yeah. It's a slippery slope with that one because, yes, the players are going to be all on board for it because you're taking away a couple preseason games. But to that point, a lot of those guys aren't playing in those preseason games anyway, you know?
Right.
So that extra game that they add at the end of the season, or whether they add it maybe in the middle of the season or something like that, I feel like almost make that game like some type of specialty game. You know, make something cool around that where like you could bring back a freaking, if you're the Minnesota Vikings, this is so crazy.
I think I know where you're going with
I'm
that.
like Jeff Van Gundy with this theory right here. Like, the Minnesota Vikings are allowed to bring back like Dante Culpepper, Randy Moss,
I knew it.
and Chris Carter for this one game. And like, you know, San Francisco, Joe Montana still got his legs under him. It's like an old-timers game, but it counts as a regular season game. You know?
Oh, man.
Would that work?
Yeah, I don't think it would.
How dope would that be, though, where it's just like, obviously you're not going to have, you know, Ray Lewis in his prime lined up against Barry Sanders, like wanting to come back for the Lions, you know, in this 1 week. It's got to be fair. It's got to be like planned out before where you know Barry Sanders is going to be matched up against, you know, some linebacker that played like Lawrence Taylor, where it's just like he could still hit him lightly and he'd fall over, or maybe you make it I don't know. There's got to be some
character. I don't even know if they allow this on Madden.
Yeah, I don't even know what argument I'm making right now. But like there's got to be, maybe that last game of the season is almost just like a tryout game for all your young guys or something, and I don't know. It's just like there's got to be an extra carrot around that game for players to get jazzed up about it. So whether that counts as 2 wins or like, I don't know, the guys get paid more that game. Players are not going to sign off to an extra game because losing preseason games doesn't mean anything to them because they're not really playing. And playing an extra week of the season is a tough sell for guys.
Yeah, so I think 2 things here. I think, like, to your point, I do think it'll be really difficult to get players in the union to sign off on that. If they somehow signed off on it and it's a 17-game season, maybe there's a little more wiggle room for guys sitting and in terms of like if their team is making the playoffs or not, and guys sitting out a game, which I don't know if fans would be crazy of if they're buying that 17th game and more or less just see some guys sitting out. But that's like the effect of the 16th game a lot of times too.
Mm-hmm. Yep, teams are already clinched.
And then I think the more difficult thing, the second thing, is how you would compensate these guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like how someone who's already in the middle of a contract, how they get compensated, because it wouldn't stay the same because they're on contract for 16 games. Even the guys at the very, very end that may not even get in the game, there's going to be a bump up in salary in terms of that, which I'm sure they could figure out. But free agents for the upcoming year, if it's a guarantee that it's a 17-game season, that could be interesting as well, with just agents fighting for every single dollar. And that's, I think, the most interesting part of it. Like, clearly the NFL wants a 17th game because they can make enough money.
Oh,
you know
for
what I'm saying? They'll fucking put it in Mexico again, London again, wherever. You see, as the years go on, there's more and more London games. There's one going on right now with the Pats.
Yeah.
So there's always more and more and more of these outside games.
I will say I'm not really a fan of like the outside the U.S. games per se. I do like the NBA coming up with the idea of the in-season tournament. I don't think players will get jazzed up for it or whatnot at first, and it would be all exciting. But like the old structure, like you look at all these other leagues, like in Europe for soccer, and I don't know, maybe rugby's different or something like that. But there's just like these weird things that go on mid-season that are a little bit more exciting than just week 1, week 2, and then okay, here are the playoffs, and like it's just the same thing every single season. I do like the fact that like there could be, a mid-season tournament where maybe the NBA plays against a Spain team or something, and that counts as their regular season game. Like Madrid's team is really good. What if an NBA team got to play against LaMelo Ball and the Australia team, but it counted as a regular season game, or it counted as like your international game for the week or something like that. And your team goes to Australia for the week. Like, that stuff is cool, just shaking up the schedule in that sense, where it's not just the same 82-season schedule. Because it's like, you got to adapt with the times. There's a lot of different stuff going on. There's a lot of other leagues. There's a lot of other things that are happening outside of just what we've always known. So I think the fact that they're trying to change up the schedule is cool. I like that the NBA proposed that maybe in-season tournament and are starting to look at different options because, I think just for football, just having just a 16-game schedule or it's just, 4 preseason games, regular season, playoffs. It's just the same thing every single season. And if your team's not in it, it's not exciting. So if the Jets were able to play in some tournament or something like that against some Canadian team and win a little bit of trophy that their fans can brag about, that's a little bit more exciting than just going 2-14 every single season.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. With the NBA, I think they have something here because, like what you said, everything's always adapting around them, and the NBA is almost always first on this. The NBA doesn't necessarily even need this, but they're smart to do it.
Yeah.
NBA is like the most popular.
Yep.
Like,
not in China.
Honestly, a sport like NHL would benefit from this tournament. You know what I'm saying? Like you have it in the middle. They have point systems in the NHL where they don't have that in the NBA, so you can make those games worth more points.
Yep.
But that's a different conversation. But with the NBA, I don't know what they're going to do. It's supposed to be like a 16-team tournament, which is pretty cool. Like the only thing that I think you could motivate the players to jazz it up a little more is just like, I don't know, more coverage. You know what I mean? Treat it like almost like as it leads into All-Star break or something. I have no idea. Or around the holidays would be cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can kind of award teams who actually win this tournament any traction going forward into, unless it's an automatic playoff berth.
Nah, I think it would just be more like fan oriented, like
Yeah.
more fan connection, for
Yeah.
like, I don't know, it sounds crazy, but a fan sits on the bench or something like that for the team, or like, you can, I don't know, you can control the next play that's going to get run or something like that. Like that's obviously extreme, but like just more connection to the fans for this tournament that maybe you don't get at the NBA Finals or something like that. I don't know, like play the tournament at a local gym, like if you're in New York, play at Lincoln High School or something like that. Like for this tournament, and it's just like the Battle of New York between Brooklyn and the Knicks,
Yeah, that's the slippery slope that comes with this, though. Because me personally, I don't want to see a fucking fan run a play for my Lakers.
True.
And I'm sure you don't want to see that for the Knicks when you just want to see them win.
Well,
so
I see that every night with them.
They might as well do it at this
exactly. Point. It probably is better than Fizdale or anybody they've had in that fucking position.
But I do think you have something there with the locations. Like there are locations, there are arenas in the U.S. that are great venues and locations that aren't being used by an NBA team.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think there is something with that.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the fact that they're talking about it is good. So I like, I don't know what his original question was, but like it's a good thing that they're looking at the schedules and at least they're starting to realize that like this old archaic of just like start to finish is not necessarily what all the other leagues are doing now. And we're living in a time where everything's going fast. We want to see different variations of things. We want to see change and just stuff that's different. Changing your uniform is not going to do it for us. Like you've got to really make a drastic change going forward. And I think we'll see it. I think someone, it might be the NBA because they're the first to change things. But yeah, I think they'll be the first to come up with something that'll hopefully, be like, wow, the Microsoft tournament in season is this new shit that, whatever,
Yeah, that's true. All it really has to do is just appease to the fans, and then it'll be seen as successful. Like,
yep.
I do think it would be cool if you had a March Madness style where you just had games lined up from like 12 o'clock on a random Saturday in the winter when, there is nothing really going on. Yeah. So you could just sit there, appeal to the gamblers a little bit. Maybe have it in Vegas. At the T-Mobile Arena, whatever it is. Something like that, I think, will just be enough. And I do think, like, the NBA is always on top of this shit, right?
Yeah. I feel like they're in a little bit of like a crisis management mode with the whole China stuff, so they're probably trying to just like get stuff situated there. And they threw out that bomb of like, hey, here we might change up the schedule just to keep us like on our toes. But I think they got some stuff to figure out first before they start looking at the schedule changes.
Yeah, true. No, that was a good question though.
It was.
By Eldon Yeakel. So
Eldon,
really
shout
good.
out, man. Thank you for the question. And keep asking, ask more questions. We definitely want to answer them. We'll get to them. If you have a certain team that you're interested in, a certain player that you thought was your favorite that you'd want to see in that extra added NFL game, ask us about it, and we'll tell us our thoughts on your player. We might shit on them, though. So don't come at me with like a...
Vince Carter.
Don't tell me Vince Carter's your favorite player because I'm going to roast him for a half an hour. All right, so be careful of who you tell us your favorite player is because they might get roasted, they might get praised. But keep asking questions. We'll give you a shout out. And thanks for listening. Anything else you want to add on there, Matt?
I think in terms of like the comments and the questions, like we get a lot of good comments and stuff. And I think with the questions, it can be current or throwback. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't care if you thought of like a specific game that the Knicks played in 1999 or whatever. If you got a question about it, like throw it our way. I'm sure we've
got some connection to it. Yeah,
at some point, of any recollection.
Exactly. So. If you're in Portland and they played, I don't know, the Jazz one night and you were at the game, I'll shit on John Stockton's shorts. But no, for real, we appreciate you guys listening and tuning in hopefully you keep asking questions and let us know your thoughts, and we'll keep it moving from there. So thanks, and we'll see you next week. All right? Peace out.
Yep.